Hello everybody. I just have a quick video here. I got an email from a few students asking for help with this assignment, and so here we have it. Uh, let's actually go back up to the top here. Alright, so here I have this HTML document, and as you can see we have a style sheet connected to it. Here's a style sheet now. We'll take a look at these styles in just a moment. And basically what we're going to focus on is just the structure here first. We have a wrapper, not very important, and a main, and inside of that main we have several sections. As you can see, I truncated these here just so you can see. All of these sections are basically the same exact structure. They have the same structure, so let's take a look at that structure. All right, let's just focus really on this section. So in this section, all of the sections have two children, and one is an H2, the other one is a div with the class of content wrapper. Inside of that div with the class of content wrapper, we have an image, and then we also have a paragraph. Okay, so the section has two children, and the content wrapper also has two children, so that's worth remembering. Um, let's go ahead and save that. Jump over to the CSS. We have some very simple CSS here. Honestly, I could probably get rid of all of this and it's not really going to make much of a difference as to what we have going on. As you can see, everything is set to box sizing border box. I've changed the font family of all the fonts on the page and just a few other styles here. Let's take a look at the output. Okay, so as you can see, here we have our sections, and if I hit F12, let me go ahead and dock that. Okay. Going into the main, we could take a look at one of these sections here, the very top one. There is our H2. As we can see, there's some margin on the top of that already. And we also have our div, and if we look inside of the div, there's our image, and there's our paragraph. Now, I'm going to write the CSS for this here, just because it's going to be useful. Like this is a very, very useful tool. I often, when I'm writing CSS, I will use the Web Dev Tools inside of my browser. So let us select this section. Actually, I'm not going to select this section because this is what I want to do. I want to take the image and I want to take the paragraph and I want to put them side by side. And another way of saying that is I would like to put this image and this paragraph. I want to put both of these elements in a row. Okay, so the image and the paragraph, they go in a row. So if these two elements are going to go in a row, and they are in this div, that tells me that this div needs to become the row. All right, so let me say that again. The two children here, I'm sorry, I keep on getting a pop-up. The two children here need to go in the row. So if they're in a row, that means their parent, this content wrapper, needs to become the row. So let's do that. I'll add a new CSS rule to this class by just hitting the plus sign while having it selected. And let's make this display as a flex. And by making that display as a flex, I'm automatically going to put the two children of the content wrapper in a row. And as you can see, that's exactly what we're getting side by side. Now, the size of the images isn't quite what I'm looking for, I think. So let us jump into the content wrapper. So I just hit the plus sign again, right arrow so I can target the image inside of the content wrapper. And here I can state that I want its, max width to be whatever I want it to be. In this case, I'll just choose 300 pixels. Oops, not 300 JPX, 300 pixels. Okay. And so we can see that inside of this flex box, which is set to have a, by default, flex direction of row by default. I don't need to put this line. It's already there by default. I'll just leave it there to show you all explicitly what's happening here. But yes, I now have these two items in a row. So very good stuff there. And that's basically what I was going for. Perhaps I want to target the paragraph inside of the content wrapper. So I'll do .content wrapper space P and then maybe give that some padding. So that way it's not all grouped up. Okay, so things are starting to look better. I have this in a row. Very nice. So let me jump into my inspector style sheet. I'm going to copy these and I'm going to bring those into my style sheet. So I'll just for right now, just slap them right here. We'll move it in a second, but I'm just going to take those rules and just place them right here. Okay. I can now get rid of the styles here, and since the CSS is linked, they stay. Okay, hit refresh, everything's gone. Okay, so there we have it, and that's just a very simple way of getting these elements to go in a row. That's just the way, that's the best way to say it to yourself. These two items need to go in a row, they need to go in the row, so that, which means that their wrapper becomes the row. All right, so now we have a challenge where we want to get every other image to become row reverse. So just to make that clear, let's jump over to elements. Let's take a look at these. Let's take a look at the content wrapper. Let's target the content wrapper. Well, I'll make a new rule for that, and instead I'll change the flex direction to row reverse. So we know that the rule, the CSS rule of flex direction with the value of row reverse will do that work for us. However, we don't want every single one to become row reverse, only every other one. So what are some of the things that we can do to solve this problem? Well, I could make a class called anything I want, but why not row reverse? Okay, so now I have this class called row reverse. I'm just going to open this up so I can copy and paste it and place it into my style sheet. Okay, so there's row reverse. Very nice. And as we can see, nothing's changed because none of these content wrappers have a class of row reverse. So what I would need to do is jump over to my HTML and give every other, let's start with the second one. Let's start with the second one. Not super important, but let's start with the second one. And give every other content wrapper the row, the class of row reverse. And so I gave it to this pancakes and fruit one, right? Pancakes and fruit one, going back over, that one has a row reverse. So now I'll just have to come through this document and give every other element here the class of row reverse, and that will do the trick. However, as you could see in this particular document, there are quite a few sections. So that is a possible way of handling it, but since we have so much of this done, I can't count how many there are here. There are several, though. I'll have to do this maybe 10 more times, and that might be a little bit more than what I want to do. All right, so what else can we do? Aside from giving the elements a class to control those styles, what if I could actually target every other element? And I can. So let us go back to elements. I'm going to make a new rule, but instead of being content wrapper, I'm going to change that to target all the sections. And if I wanted to, I could say background red, and as we could see, all of the sections are red. Okay, but what I'm hoping to do is actually make every other section red. So what we can do is, instead of targeting every section, we can use this pseudo selector of nth, and I can use nth child, but I'm actually going to go with nth of type. And with nth of type, I can choose to select the first one, or the second one, or the third one, or the fourth one, or the fifth one, or whatever the case may be. I can also go with 2n. So what I'm saying is every second one, right? So we skip the first one, and every second one will have a background of red. And that saves me from having to add the class of row reverse to however many there are here. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Now, I'm going to run into a problem here. I might think, okay, great, I'm targeting every other one, and I want every other one to have row reverse. So what I should do is then just say, oops, sorry, flex direction, and then add row reverse. And if I look, nothing happened. Ooh boy. So what's wrong here? Take a second to think about what's wrong here. I'm targeting every other section. That's what I wanted, right? Like basically every other section that's what I think I want maybe. Every other section is going to have the property of flex direction with the value of row reverse. But when I think about it, that's not really what I want, is it? Really, I put the class on I put the row reverse class. The thing that I wanted to target was actually the content wrapper. Okay, so maybe that's no big deal. I'm going to show you a quick little shortcut. Whenever I want to get back to the inspector, I can go to sources and there it is. Sometimes Chrome has been a lot better with this, but sometimes it's a little hidden here. So every once in a while, I'll just make a new rule and then click on this inspector style sheet just to get to the inspector style sheet if I find it difficult to return to this, and just delete that rule. Okay. So yes, the content wrapper is what I wanted to target. So not the section, right? But it was the dot content wrapper. But still nothing happens. Still nothing happens. All right, so what's going on here? I want to target every other content wrapper. However, when I look, there is only one content wrapper per section. There's only one of them exists here. And when I use nth child or nth of type, it's actually looking for sibling elements. And since this content wrapper doesn't have a sibling that is also the content wrapper, it's the only one of its type. It's the only one of its type, so my rule, I'm not using the correct selector. It's basically all that's happening. So what is the correct CSS selector? Well, let's think about this. I do want to target every other section. That part is true. Can I undo? Yes, perfect. I do want to target every other section. However, it's not this section I'm targeting. The thing that I'm targeting is actually the content wrapper, the element, the div with the class of content wrapper inside of every other section. So the solution is to first target every other section and then target the content wrapper inside of that. Uh-oh, I have a problem here. What's going on? Did I call it content wrapper? Let's just double check it. It is content wrapper. Oh, it worked. Okay. I didn't see the jump because this one had the class on it. My mistake. It worked. Let's just come here, remove this class. Okay. And there it is. Every other one has a class of row reverse. Sorry, not a class of row reverse, but it has the style of flex direction row reverse applied to it. Beautiful. Let's jump back over to our inspector here. Let's grab these rules. I cut them, and now I'm going to paste them right here. We don't need this anymore because we're going to use a different technique. So get rid of that, replace it with this. Jump back over to our HTML, and let's find that row. This is not really going to bother anything, but let's clean up our HTML a little bit, remove that, and now when I jump back over to my output, I can see that everything looks nice. Fantastic. So that is those were actually a few ways to solve that problem. You can use whichever one you like. You can use nth child or nth of type. I tend to use nth of type more than I use nth child. I will give you all the space to look that up yourself. Let me actually, oops, where'd you go? Let's do it this way. 30 CSS selector, so you must memorize. And let's look up nth of, oops, maybe nth child. Oh, where are you? Uh-oh, what are we doing here? Oh, I must have clicked on something. My mistake there. Let's try that again. Adds, right? Okay, so nth of type. You can read up about it here. I recommend practicing it and doodling with it. It's very, very useful. And then we also have nth child. A little bit of difference between the two. Understanding them will be extremely helpful. So the 30 CSS selectors you must memorize. And the truth is you don't need to memorize all of them. A lot of them are extremely helpful. Many of them are absolutely necessary. And some of them are, they're good to know. Okay. There is one more thing I want to talk about here. So we have that going on. However, a lot of people are asking about this for the media queries assignment. And as you can see, once I take this to, let's say, a smaller screen, and I'll just do my smaller screen like this, it doesn't quite look the way we had hoped. Okay, we want this to stack here. So the easiest way to do that is, let's get rid of all these rules here for a second. I'm just going to comment them out, control question mark. And let's jump back over. Here we have our content, and everything is stacking exactly the way we want. However, when I try to go bigger with it, I would say right around here, I wanted to open up. So what size is that? Let's hit F12. Let's look at it this way. So right around, let's say, I'm looking right here at this number. Let's say right around 700 pixels maybe. That looks about right. Around 700 pixels, we wanted to switch to having the row and row reverse situation. Okay. So what I need to have is a media query, which I already have kind of set up ready to go here, and I'm going to set its min width to 700 pixels, which means that whatever CSS rules I place within these curly brackets, any CSS I place in here will only work on our page on screens larger and equal to 700 pixels. So I should be able to bring all of these styles into this, but I'm going to do it one by one just to be certain. So let's cut the, oops, sorry about that, 700 pixels. Let's come back here. Let's cut. Let's paste. And let's take a look at what we have. And yes, we do have a row. However, when we get smaller, oh yeah, there it is. It's stacking. Okay, so it's stacking around 700, keeping an eye at this number here. And once we get to about 700, great, left and right. Yep, so we do need to fix the image width. So I think it's safe to say we can bring these styles in. I'm going to bring them in slowly one by one because maybe, I'm pretty sure all of them I want to be in there, but maybe some of them I want on the outside, like this one perhaps, the content wrapper paragraph. That one I just might want to be a general rule. I might want that to always be effective, not just on larger screens. Let's see what that looks like. So I brought the padding outside the media query, and I brought the max width of the image inside the media query, and let's take a look. Let's go smaller here. I'm sorry, clicking on something there. Go smaller. Yeah, I think I like the way that looks. A little padding still on the paragraph, perhaps. Maybe, maybe not. I'll leave that up to you to decide how you want those styles to appear. However, once we go larger, oh, that's really not bad at all. That's kind of what I'm thinking about for larger screens. I think we'll be safe by bringing in this final style to our media query. Let's take a look. Very nice. Left, right, left, right, left, right. Very nice. And when we go smaller, better. Very nice. So there we have it. We have a web page that has a lot of headings and images stacking very nicely on mobile. And then when we look at it on larger screens, it looks very nice. Usually when I'm testing for mobile, I'll start the process by dragging this screen larger and smaller for my sizes, and I can read the widths right on the top there. And then really to fine tune it, I'll then use this tool where I specifically state that we are going to use mobile device stat for landscape or an iPhone specifically or specifically for Surface Pro, whatever the case may be. So, and then you can also fine tune it up here specifically what it is you're looking for all the way down to the finest of details. So definitely worth looking at here. But just starting off, and also for this assignment, I think we'll be fine just dragging larger and smaller as needed. So yeah, that's it. I hope this was useful. I hope this was helpful. If you have any other questions, please let me know, and I'll either answer your question directly or perhaps make another video. All right, everybody, that's it. And yeah, take it easy.